All right, everyone, let's settle in. Exam season is just around the corner, and I know some of these AI concepts can feel, well, a little overwhelming, especially if you've missed a class or two. But hey, don't you worry, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down two of the most critical libraries, NumPy and SciPy, so you can walk into that exam feeling totally prepared and confident. Let's get you ready to ace this thing.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover why Python absolutely needs NumPy for any serious AI work. Then, and this is the big one, we're going to dedicate some real quality time to mastering array slicing. I know this is a tough spot for a lot of you, but we're going to make it click. After that, we'll meet NumPy's powerful sibling, SciPy, and we'll wrap up by zeroing in on the essential math concepts from SciPy that are pretty much guaranteed to be on your exam. This is our roadmap from I'm lost to I got this.
Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1, why do we even need NumPy? You have to think of it as the bedrock for almost everything we do with data in Python. You can't build a strong house on a shaky foundation, right? Well, in the world of data science, NumPy is that solid, concrete foundation.
Now, you might be wondering, and it's a question I get all the time, why can't we just use regular Python lists for everything? I mean, they're flexible, they're pretty easy to use, so what's the big deal? And that's a perfectly fair question. The answer is the key to understanding why NumPy is such a game changer. And this slide just nails the difference. Think of a Python list like a grocery bag. You can toss anything you want in there, an apple, the number 5, a line of text, whatever. It's super versatile. But a NumPy array, well, a NumPy array is like an egg carton. It's designed to hold only one type of thing, eggs. Or in our case, numbers of the same type, like all integers or all decimals. And this strict, uniform structure, that's its superpower. See, because everything's the same and packed neatly together in memory, NumPy can blast through math operations on the whole array at once. We're talking up to 50 times faster. For the massive data sets in AI, that kind of speed isn't just nice to have, it is an absolute necessity.
All right, let's all just take a deep breath. We're heading into what is probably the #1 topic that trips students up, mastering array slicing. I know the syntax can look a little scary at first, but I promise you, we are going to go slow, step by step. We're going to make this crystal clear, because getting this right will save you a ton of points on your exam.
So first things first, what is a NumPy array? The official name is an ND array, which is just short for n-dimensional array. The easiest way to picture it is just as a grid of values. Think of a spreadsheet, a checkerboard, a tic-tac-toe board. And that one key rule we just talked about is everything here. All the values inside that grid have to be the exact same data type.
Let's make this real. We're going to use this exact 2D array for all of our slicing examples, so go ahead and burn this grid into your memory. It was made with this bit of code here, np.arange of 20.reshape 4, 5. All that's saying is, hey NumPy, give me the numbers from 0 to 19, and then arrange them into a grid that has 4 rows and 5 columns. That's it. Get familiar with it because we're about to pull it apart.
Okay, but before we even start slicing, we've got to get one thing straight, the difference between indexing and slicing. Indexing is like picking a single piece of candy from a box. You give it specific coordinates, a row and a column, and you get back one single value. Slicing, on the other hand, is like taking a scoop and grabbing a whole handful of candy. You specify a range, and you get back a brand new, smaller array. So one item versus a whole chunk of items. That is the fundamental difference.
Now please, don't let the syntax intimidate you. The absolute easiest way to think about this is to just read it like a simple sentence. RRROs, COLUMNS. Seriously, that's it. Whatever comes before the comma tells you which rows you want, and whatever comes after the comma tells you which columns. Always, always rows, then columns. Okay, let's put it into action with our example. Array 0 to 2, 1 to 3. So following our rule, we first look before the comma. It says 0 to 2. This is for our rows. And here's the golden rule for ranges. You start at index 0 and you go up 2, but do not include index 2. So that means we're grabbing row 0 and row 1. For now, just focus on those highlighted rows you see on the screen.
Perfect. Now we look after the comma. We see 1, 3. This part is for our columns, and the exact same rule applies. You start at index 1, and you go up 2, but do not include index 3. So that gives us column 1 and column 2. And you can now see them highlighted, but only inside the rows that we already selected.
And voila!
here is our final result. The slice is just the intersection of the rows and columns we picked. It's the little box where our highlighted sections overlap. And that is how our 0 to 2, 1 to 3 gives us that little 2 by 2 array with the values 1, 2, 6, and 7. See, that's all it is. Rows first, then columns, then you just find where they meet.
Let's pause here. Everybody listen up. These are the rules you absolutely, positively need to burn into your memory for the exam. Rule 1. Indexing always starts at 0, not 1. Rule 2. The start index in a slice is always included. Rule 3, and this is the one that gets everyone, the end index is always excluded. And finally, Rule 4. The format is always array, rows, columns. You remember these 4 rules, and you can solve any slicing problem they throw at you. I promise.
Fantastic work. Now that we have a really solid grip on NumPy, let's build on that. It's time to introduce its powerful older sibling, SciPy. This is the powerhouse library we use for more advanced, heavy-duty math. So, what is SciPy really? Well, it's a free, open-source library for all sorts of scientific and technical computing. But here's the most important thing to remember. SciPy is built directly on top of NumPy. It literally stands on NumPy's shoulders. It takes those super fast NumPy arrays and gives us a massive collection of ready-to-use algorithms for things like calculus, statistics, and engineering.
SciPy is organized into these subpackages, or you can think of them as specialized toolkits. And these are the big ones you'll see. If you see integrate, think calculus, like finding the area under a curve. If you see optimize, think about finding the best settings for a machine learning model. LinAlgebra is your go-to for advanced linear algebra. Stats has everything you need for statistical tests and probability, and IO is just a handy tool for loading and saving special kinds of files. You don't need to be an expert in all of them, but you should definitely recognize what they're for. Now for your AI exam, you don't need to know every single function in that massive SciPy library, right? Of course not. So let's zoom in on the essentials. We're going to focus on the key math concepts from linear algebra and statistics that are most relevant to what we do in AI. So why do we care so much about linear algebra in AI? Well, in short, it's the language of data manipulation. Think about an image on your phone. To you, it's a picture of your dog. To the computer, it's just a giant grid of numbers, a big old NumPy array. Linear algebra gives us the tools to work with that grid, to rotate the image, to sharpen it, even to identify that, yes, that's a dog. It's all just matrix math under the hood. And SciPy's linog module makes this stuff so much easier. For instance, finding things called eigenvalues and eigenvectors is the core of a powerful technique called principal component analysis, or PCA. That's a fancy way of saying it helps us simplify complex data without losing the important stuff. And solving huge systems of linear equations, that's how tons of machine learning models get trained. With SciPy, these really complex ideas become just a single line of code. Okay, let's switch gears over to statistics. First up, the probability density function, or PDF. Don't let the name scare you. Just imagine a graph of the heights of every student at a university. Where is that graph going to be highest? Right around the average height, right? Because that's the most common. And it'll get lower and lower for really short or really tall heights. That curve is the PDF. It just shows you the relative likelihood of seeing any given height. And that ties right into this, the cumulative distribution function, or CDF. If the PDF tells you the chance of being exactly a certain height, the CDF tells you the chance of being that height or shorter. It's a running total. So if you look at the CDF value for the average height, it'll be 0.5 or 50% because half the students are average height or shorter. As you get taller, the CDF climbs and climbs towards 1 or 100%.
Okay, everybody, pens down, eyes up. Exam alert. This right here is a huge, high-weightage topic. This is the absolute core relationship you need to know. The PDF is the derivative of the CDF. And if you flip that around, the CDF is the integral of the PDF. They are two sides of the same coin, forever linked by calculus. I can almost guarantee this concept will be on your exam, so make sure it is locked in.
You know, this quote really sums up why we're learning all this. Carly Fiorina said, "The goal is to turn data into information, and information into insight." And that's exactly what NumPy and SciPy let us do. They are the engines that take piles of raw, messy data and help us find the patterns, the information, and ultimately, the insight hidden inside. So, I'll leave you with this little puzzle to think about. Now that you have these tools, how could you combine them? How could you use NumPy slicing to carve out a specific piece of a huge data set, and then use SciPy statistical functions to hunt down the single weirdest, most unusual data point in that slice?
The answer to that question, well, that's where data science really starts to get fun. Good luck with your studies. You've got this.